Hey, I'm Chris Ralph, the professional prospector, and I'm going to talk today about, well, 2023, but also 2022, because I want to wish you guys a Merry Christmas. I know by the time even I'm filming this, it's slightly after Christmas, but hope you had a Merry Christmas, and I hope you have a great New Year's, and just really enjoy yourself, and I hope 2023 works out to be a great year for you. Now, I enjoyed myself this year. I'm going to look back in this video on 2022 a little bit, but we're mostly going to look forward to 2023. Now, in 2022, I did 35 videos, which that's pretty good for me anyway. It's better than what I've done since 2019. 2019, I did 50 some odd. It was the first year I really got into it, and so I did quite a few videos. But I did 35 this year. You know, I didn't have any major automobile accidents or other big problems that prevented me from making a lot of videos. So I did 35 this year, and if you haven't watched them, take a look. But I finished the year, including this video, with 19 in a row. My goal is to do one a week. And I did 19 weeks in a row, the last 19 weeks of the year. I did a video every week. And so I was pretty proud and happy with that. That's my goal, and that's what I want to commit to in 2023, is to be getting one video out per week. Okay? Now, also in 2022, I hit 75,000 subscribers, which that's more than I could have imagined when I first started out doing this. Well, doing it for serious back in 2019. So I want to say thank you to you guys. I really appreciate it, and it's great. Now I hope, I'm getting my fingers crossed, that I'll be able to reach 100,000 next year. But we need to do some good videos and get some folks to subscribe. 25,000 in a year is a little bit more than what I've been. But hopefully I'll do a little better than average, right? So I do make a special point of responding to my videos, and I want to say that I enjoy the community that I have on YouTube. I mean, people ask questions, talk to me, you know, discuss things. That's great. You know, I also occasionally get trolls, and I think this coming year I'm going to be a little tighter on my. So if you want to send me a message that says I'm an idiot and I don't know what I'm talking about and you know everything about it, maybe you might save your time typing. Anyway, I'm going to focus on doing some really great videos in 2023 that I hope you'll really like and that you'll really enjoy and that you'll want to have a discussion about. So let me take a look at some of the topics I have and go over that, and you know, we can discuss it a little bit. You can get a little preview of what's coming, to coming attractions, right? Now, the first thing I have listed here is how to build your own metal detector. And I think that a lot of you guys are going to say, oh, Chris, that'll be great. I'd really like to do that. I can't afford, you know, a multi-$1,000 metal detector. I'd like to build one myself. Well, I wish I could tell you that, hey, it's an easy project and you just throw together a few transistors, a few resistors, a few capacitors, and maybe a couple IC chips, and you put them in a jar and shake them up, and bango bango, you got a metal detector every bit as good as anything you can buy on the market, even if you had a $10,000 budget. Except that's not true. That's not even close to true. It's not even in the ballpark. Building your own metal detector is a very, very difficult project to do. If you've never done any kind of electronic, you know, you haven't built a radio or this or that, or, you know, other kinds of electronic projects where you put together circuits, and if you don't know, you know, a drawing of a circuit, you can't tell the difference between a transistor and a resistor or a capacitor, you might find this a really difficult project. And so because it's so difficult, I'm going to spend a lot of time in this video talking about how metal detectors work. In my opinion, trying to build something that you don't know how it works makes it even twice as difficult, okay, or 10 times as difficult. You're basically assembling stuff in the dark, trying to figure out what you're doing. I think at least if you understand the concepts of metal detectors and how they work, that you'll at least have a better time. But it's a very difficult project, and to be honest, the metal detector designs that are out there in the public domain are significantly inferior. I mean, they're like the equivalent of a very cheap, almost toy level detector. So I'm being honest with you. That's what I do in my videos. If there's bad news to be said, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to give you the straight skinny. So we will do that, and I think that'll be interesting, and I think a lot of people will want to see that, even if it is, lots of disclaimers, a difficult project. We're going to talk about the science of crystals. We're going to kind of get into crystals. I did a video this year in 2023 about crystal gold, and I got all kinds of response. In fact, I think for the year, at least, from the beginning of 2022 to, here at the end of the year, the video that came out in 2022 that's got the most views is that crystal gold video. And so I thought, well, hey, my audience, my guys gals that watch me are interested in crystals. So we're going to talk about crystals for a bit. And we're going to talk about how they grow and what makes them happen and the interesting scientific features that they have. And some of them have some very unusual things. We're talking about the technology of crystals. You realize that everything you have that's electronic has crystals in it. If you are watching this on a cell phone, if I took out the crystals, it would be worthless. The camera I'm filming this on, if the crystals were removed, it'd be off. Your television, your automobile, your laptop, your tablet, all the stuff that's electronic that you have, all runs on crystals. And some of them are things that you wouldn't normally think of as being a crystal. And so we're going to talk about some of those things, because I think it's interesting stuff. It really is. And speaking of crystals and making crystals and that sort of thing, that sort of stuff, we're going to talk about synthetic diamonds. That's something that's really revolutionized the jewelry market. Years ago when I got engaged to my wife, there was no synthetic diamonds on the market. They had made them by then, and they were making huge amounts in those days of grit, of abrasive type diamond. But as far as gem quality diamonds, they had made them, but it cost way more to make a gem quality diamond in those days than it cost to just mine one out of the ground. That has changed. And now you can see that synthetic diamonds are really impacting the jewelry market. We're going to talk about how they're made, what they consist of, what the outlook is. It's going to be a kind of an interesting thing. How to make emeralds is another topic. I don't think anybody has ever done a YouTube video on how to make emeralds. Now, I've seen several on how to make rubies, but they're generally speaking, they're not gem quality. They're like as transparent as, say, a brick. And so, but they are ruby. I mean, it is ruby. It's just not transparent. And there's natural non-transparent rubies too. Not every ruby is transparent. But I've actually made emeralds. This little vial here, I don't know if you can see it, it's got green stuff in the bottom. It's a fine sand, but this is actually emerald. It's little six-sided beryl crystals doped with chromium to be emerald green. And so we're going to try and take it another few steps further from basically stuff that's the size of sand, that in order to really see what it is, you need serious magnification, to stuff that could be cut for a gemstone. And I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be a chemical effort related to crystals. Of course, we'll do lots of stuff with gold. How to assay for free gold. I've got the stuff. I've got the first step of it crushed. I've actually started filming that video, but it's not finished. I've done the first step, the coarse crush, from the bigger pieces down to stuff that's like 1/2 inch minus. I need to go from 1/2 inch minus to, basically a powder, and then separate it out and weigh it all up. But I think that would be an interesting one. Extracting gold from pyrite, we're going to get into that. That's another one that I started last year and have been working on, but I'm doing it kind of different. I'm doing a bio leach kind of thing. Rather than heating it up and making a lot of nasty sulfur smoke, I'm letting little microbes eat it all and do the work themselves for me. So none of my neighbors will have anything to smell. But anyway, that should be interesting. We're going to go through the whole steps of measuring it and calculating it. Started off with about 1 kilogram of pyrite material. We'll see how it goes. Let's take a look at some more now. Okay, I've changed out the board. The next one I want to talk about is turning electronics into gold. This is one that I actually had on my last year's, what was coming in 2022. And you really have to get a lot of little parts together. It's a lot of fiddly little work of, extracting the gold-plated pins and things, extracting the gold-plated fingers, extracting IC chips that have gold wires. But we're going to go into the whole detail. I'm going to do several videos on that. In fact, I'm going to do a video on each one. So like on the IC chips, I'm going to go into the whole process of extracting the gold, where they use gold in IC chips. It's going to be a coverage that you won't get on any other videos on extracting gold out of electronics. All about quartz and other minerals. I'm going to do a series about certain well-known minerals. Quartz, of course, could hardly be more well-known than that. But we're going to talk about all kinds of minerals. Beryl, topaz, tourmaline, pyrite, all kinds of things like that, where we're going to really get into different kinds of minerals and take a closer look at that. We're going to go out and use the Garrett, the Axiom. I started a little bit on that, and we're going to talk about using the Garrett Axiom out in the field. I'm going to give some more field videos. I just kind of got started with the Garrett when we hit the end of the season, and so I'll be doing a lot more of that in 2023. Thiosulfate leaching. Thiosulfate is the low toxicity thing that can do some of the same stuff that cyanide does. Cyanide's a deadly poison, and if you ate handfuls of thiosulfate, it probably would kill you too, but it's not nearly as deadly as the cyanide is. And we're going to use thiosulfate to leach some gold and silver ore and do a few experiments with that. One of the things that I was going through stuff, I've had videos about using the Goldbug 2, about the SDC 2300, of course about the Axiom, and of course the Gold Monster from Minelab. But I've never really done a video per se on using the 7000. I did a video on the 7000 just to talk about some of the characteristics of it, and how it works and what it does, and the performance you can get out of it. But I've never really done a video where I'm out in the field using it and showing it off to its advantage and talk about some of the features and things that you can listen for when you're using it. It's a pricey detector, but the video I did, the other video that just tells about it, has been fairly popular. Underwater metal detecting and prospecting. There's a couple of guys that do that. Pioneer Poly is probably the best known one. I know a spot that, it's on a gold-bearing river in California, where the river kind of makes a little bend and goes over a little waterfall. And the way it works out is that the spot is a catch in the bedrock that catches nuggets. And 4 or 5 years ago, a friend and I cleaned it out. I think we got, between the two of us, close to 1.5 ounces out of the thing. And neither one of us had cleaned it out since. And it's kind of hidden, and it's not real obvious. So I'm going to take my detector. I've got one of my cameras, not the one I'm filming with this, but one of my other cameras does have an underwater type thing. And so we're going to try to go and do something like Pioneer Polly does, only, I'm doing it my way, and do some underwater detecting and underwater sniping and see if we can get another ounce of gold out of that spot. We're got some big storms as I'm filming this. There's some big wet storms coming in. We've got already some water, some snow on the mountains, and we're thinking that if we get too much warm storms coming through here, we may get some flooding. And so might be a good spot to go back and take a look at and revisit that. One of the few kinds of places, in a river like that, when it renews itself over time. If you get enough flooding, it'll renew itself. So that should be fun. And of course, I'm going to do a whole lot of videos of dry washing and metal detecting and other prospecting with friends, hard rock type stuff, just the normal stuff that I do lots of videos on. Of course, I'm going to do those. And I just wanted to cover some of the special stuff that I plan on doing over the time that I have available in 2023. And like I say, I hope to stick to this one a week kind of thing and keep that going. Now, this year I did something really unusual and I mostly got very good feedback on it. It was a faith-related video. And, I did get a few people that, objected, but for the most part, most people were pretty tolerant and some people were very supportive. And so I think I'm going to do one of those a year. And that's, it's an important part of who I am and it's important to me. And so I think I'll go ahead and do another one of those. Even if you're one of the guys or folks that objected to it, one video a year is not going to really change that much the thrust of what this channel is about. It's still going to be mostly about prospecting in the field, looking for gold, but we're going to cover crystals and some other little side stuff, like I say, making synthetic gemstones like the emeralds. We're going to go off on a few little tangents like that, but they're gold and prospecting and mineral related. And when I say what my channel's about, people ask me, it's like, oh yeah, it's gold and prospecting and gemstones. Well, last year or two, I've been pretty light on the gemstone kind of quality of it. So we're going to move a little bit more in that direction, but it's still going to be mostly about gold and prospecting in the field. And so I'm really excited and looking forward to the new year. And, if you are interested in prospecting for gold and you want to get into that and take a closer look at it, I wrote a book about prospecting and it's called Fistful of Gold. Because, hey, that's what I want you to be able to go out and find is fistful of gold for yourself. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about my book right now. So let me tell you a little bit more about my book. It's called Fistful of Gold, and I wrote it because I want you to be able to go out and find for yourself Fistful of Gold. And you can see that it's an encyclopedia with all kinds of information, pictures, and that sort of thing. It's not in color, but color would have cost me a lot more to have printed, and so the book would have cost a lot more. It's for sale on Amazon, and you can pick it up. I'll put a link in the description below. I also serve as the editor for a prospecting magazine. It's ICMJ's Prospecting and Mining Journal. And honestly, you should check that out. We got stories and information, legal stuff, everything you know to increase your skills as a prospector. I write articles in this every month, and a lot of other very experienced prospectors contribute to the magazine as well. So check the magazine out. Also, I have a website, and the website is at NevadaOutbackGems.com. I'll put a link for it in the description below, but there's gobs of information there that you will find useful in your prospecting efforts. Finally, I want to say that I really appreciate your comments and thoughts and even positive criticism. Don't come on there and just toss out insults, because I'll just delete your comments. But if you've got helpful things to say and questions to ask, do write and put those in the comments, because I answer my comments to people, and you'll hear from me in responding to you. So if you've enjoyed this video and you like what you see and you're interested in finding out more, well then sign up, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so they'll let you know when I post new videos. And like it and share it if again you see stuff that you really are excited about. And I'll be coming out with lots more new videos, and so we'll see you again real soon.